Welcome and thank you for tuning in for our talk, Change is Hard, Creating an Adoption Plan to Breed Success. I'm Tiffany Vetamuthu, a project manager in clinical systems education at the Mayo Clinic. And joining me today are Janet Zirakhor, the Director of Curriculum Development in Clinical Systems Education, and Heather Meyer, a Program Manager in Clinical Systems Education. Combined, we have over 50 years of experience in healthcare and education. We have planned and coordinated hundreds of software and platform implementations, ranging from minor platform upgrades to overhauling existing systems, rolling out new electronic health record systems, content management systems, and learning management systems. Essentially, you point at it and we can make it go live. The Mayo Clinic is an academic healthcare organization with a robust and fascinating history dating back to 1883. Currently, Mayo Clinic has 3 destination medical centers: Rochester, Minnesota, Scottsdale, Arizona, and Jacksonville, Florida. There are also 4 Mayo Clinic Health System regions: Southeast Minnesota, Southwest Minnesota, Southwest Wisconsin, and Northwest Wisconsin. Altogether, the Mayo Clinic has 22 hospitals, 80 clinics, and employs 66,000 allied health staff and 7,300 physicians, residents, and advanced practice providers. Annually, the Mayo Clinic sees roughly 1.4 million patients from across the world, performs 137,000 surgeries, and about 1,700 solid organ transplants. The department that Heather, Janet, and I hail from, Clinical Systems Education, supports all Mayo Clinic Plumber Chart users. Plumber Chart is the name for Mayo Clinic's instance of the Epic electronic health record. Our team designs curriculum, delivers education, provides support, and creates technical communications that are focused on clinical systems, meaning that we support all 63,000 Epic users at Mayo and 4 Epic upgrades annually. To break that down a little further, we complete roughly 450 education-related projects, teach 2,400 classes, and onboard 1,900 residents and fellows annually. So what does all of that have to do with ClickUp, you might be asking? Well, we want to make sure that you understand that we're not rookies when it comes to implementation and adoption of a new platform, because we're not kidding when we say ClickUp was our best implementation and adoption of any new platform that we have helped roll out. Today, we're here to share with you how we did it. We will walk you through our own use case, including planning and build, implementation, and how we've been setting the stage for long-term success.
I was brought to Mayo to implement new processes and procedures to help instructional designers have the space to grow and evolve as designers instead of manufacturers. It was time to pause and reflect on the current state and look to where the staff wanted to be. One of the first things I noticed is the system that we're using to track productivity was antiquated. I truthfully couldn't know day to day who was working on what, how many projects were in flight, and where we were focusing our time to make any decisions. In addition, the team was often unaware of what their colleagues were working on in a remote environment. Often staff were being pulled into projects too late or not at all. I knew the staff were busy, but I had no quantifiable way to show that to anyone at the C-suite level. There were spreadsheets everywhere in varying degree of update. Staff started to express their anxiety about supervisors past that had them fill out line after line of workbook after workbook for reasons unknown. I assured them that we would do our due diligence to find a non-worksheet solution that gave them the tools they needed in a slick interface. That is when we began looking for the monster that ate spreadsheets to pump up the staff. The hunt was on for a tool that could be onboarded fast that would provide forms for outside customers to submit their projects into our department, the ability to triage work in several statuses and have conversations, notes, documents stored within each record, the ability for collaboration amongst many of our instructional designers, transparency to our leadership, and the ability for staff to reach out to us when they were in a pickle and needed a quick answer. Dashboards for higher-ups to show them what's taking up the majority of our time were also critical. We were fortunate to find that another department at Mayo was already running on ClickUp. We toured the space, which didn't line up directly with our project intake needs, but showed us that ClickUp was flexible enough to work for us as well. It wasn't scary, and we felt confident the staff would also feel confident using it in a short window. We made the case to our internal leadership with a plan for implementing it during a very busy year. Like that, we were off to the races.
Once we determined that there in fact was a better way to track everything we were doing, we started thinking about how we wanted to move forward with planning and building. A few key things we found helpful as we started to think about this. Number one, use your team to own the project. Our implementation team included a small team of builders and testers. This included the three of us on this call, an additional program manager, and two of our instructional designers. By keeping the core team small but mighty, we were able to work efficiently while still gaining buy-in and expertise from those that would use ClickUp most. Number two, design the hierarchy before you build it. Between spaces, folders, and lists, we weren't 100% sure which route to take based on our needs. Our team spent hours mapping out potential hierarchy options and the implications of each prior to building. In fact, we spent almost 1.5 months planning out how we build a system before we actually began system build. Number three, mimic what you have. Although we knew we didn't love any of our current processes and tools, it's what we knew. Using our existing SharePoint and Excel spreadsheets, we started with the fields we knew came across consistently and accurately and moved those fields over first. As we learned more about the tool, we added and modified from there. After our months of planning, we spent about a month building out the system, which was mostly done in between meetings and during every spare minute we could find, as no one was dedicated to this project full time. Number four, trial and error. As I just stated, we mapped and remapped and went back to the drawing board many times, not only on paper, but once we got into the system as well. By learning as we went and being open to learning from our own mistakes, we ultimately created an environment that's been pretty stable from day one. And last but certainly not least, number five, internally test anything and everything before training and implementation. See what you can break, see what you don't like. We tested, and just when we thought we'd tested enough, we tested one more time for good measure. Once we decided we had probably tested enough, it was time to train. We started with everyone's favorite 7-letter word, retreat. When we started planning for how we wanted to present the information to the instructional design team, we found a few things especially helpful. Focus on teaching, demoing, and practicing. When preparing how to teach ClickUp, we started by creating 1 to 2 minute walkthrough videos of our build, our content, and our processes that could serve a few purposes. 1, to show how to use the system during the retreat, and 2, to be available once we went live for everyone to refer back to. For the teaching part of the retreat, we focused on ClickUp as a tool by using PowerPoints and ClickUp itself. Our implementation team broke the instructing up into different sections so that our team could hear from different teachers with different teaching styles. For the demo, we knew that for our team, using our real environment with real projects has typically been most successful in showing how something will work, so we ran with that. We pulled in a few real projects that the team was working on and used those to demo the system end to end. We showed a few projects end to end before we jumped into practice. We even showed some of the challenges or the barriers that the team might run into as they work through the projects to help build confidence in the tool and show that even if you run into an issue, there's a way out of it. For practice, we broke out into small teams of 4 to 5 people, which included an implementation team member who could help with the process flows, the questions, or any issues that might come up. Once in our breakout rooms, we asked a team member to start by showing us what they had learned, put in one of their projects, and work it from there. By the end of the breakout sessions, our team felt confident and excited to use the new tool. They had embraced that this would in fact work, and they were ready to run.
For Go Live, we didn't just flip the switch and go live across the board. We spent time while we were planning, assessing the various changes and what teams, both inside and outside of clinical systems education, needed to be able to do. Before we brought ClickUp fully live, we knew our instructional designers needed to be comfortable in the space and that we needed to be able to provide them with the opportunity to play and experience ClickUp before the real work was to begin. We also knew we needed our instructional designers in the space before we went live with our forum that would allow end users to submit work requests. First, we strategically placed our go live at a time we generally have downtime. So, after an upgrade towards the beginning of the new year, so that we wouldn't need to change schedules or ask for any specific time commitments. We also placed our go live date on a Tuesday. So, by not placing the go live on a Monday, we allowed our staff time to reorient themselves to the change that was about to occur after a weekend away. Additionally, this allowed us one business day to ensure one more time that updates to our internal website will be ready for the next day, test our submission forms for a final time, and make sure that we had all of our ducks in a row. Second, we set our staff up for success. We waited 1 week between our instructional designer training and our go live. This wasn't just time set aside for staff to play and experience ClickUp, but we gave them an assignment to ensure each instructional designer was accessing the space and gaining experience. We needed to migrate all active projects we had in our SharePoint over to ClickUp. The instructional designers had practiced this skill in training. The goal of the week between training and go live was to migrate all active projects over to ClickUp. Each instructional designer was assigned the task of migrating over their projects. The third piece of our go live strategy was providing support. Since our own leadership team was responsible for building the space, we were also the faces of the support before and during go live. We ensured that at least one of us was always available during our quote moving week and once we went live. To accommodate this, we blocked our schedules to make sure that we had coverage, with the understanding that we could easily unblock our calendars. In the end, since we had prepared our staff so well for go live and the change realized by our end users was so nominal, we were able to have only one support person for the remainder of the week. Inside ClickUp, we had also created a support team so our staff could just @ support in any task or item to get our attention. In addition, we created a form in ClickUp for our staff to submit bugs and ask questions. The other piece of our go live strategy that aided in our success was transparency. From very early on in the process, we were very transparent with our staff regarding why we were transitioning to a new platform and what we were hoping to gain. We were also very open about discussing the financial impact and drivers for the change. We would present information on progress to the whole team, as well as lessons learned along the way, and various resources where they could get more information if it was something that they were unsure about.
In addition to the go live strategies Tiffany just talked through, I want to touch a little bit more on the support space that was created to invite feedback from the team. Within our support space, we had a few different lists and forms. The bug tracker that Tiffany mentioned. Here we could track different bugs or issues that were being found and submitted. We tracked the issues as well as the solutions so we could start to build out our own repository for future. Submit a question. Here the team could enter in any questions they had. This allowed them to easily attach screenshots, screen recordings, or just details about the questions that they had. They could also request an enhancement. We encouraged the team to throw ideas at us on how we can continue to not only enhance the spaces we had already created, but ideas for how we can continue to put more of our work into ClickUp. And last, lessons learned and best practices. We use this as a build team to keep ourselves straight for things we learned along the way so we could refer back to them as we built out future spaces. Our implementation team watched for notifications diligently and were very responsive to questions and feedback as they arose.
We repeated our go live strategy with the other arms of clinical systems education and continued to grow our workspace. These days, we are in operational mode. What this means for clinical systems education is we're spending minimal time each week on support. We still encourage the team to reach out for help. The bug tracker and help space are still utilized regularly. We used to spend 4 to 6 hours a week pulling reports from SharePoint, coordinating email messages to assignees of new projects, and so on. Most of that is now automatic. ClickUp has also streamlined the process of assigning, tracking, and closing projects. We have 12 different forms that used to exist in different places that are all now tracked inside of ClickUp. We have one central source of truth. Now, when it comes to project assignments and status, instead of just surviving in the space we had previously, we are now able to revolutionize and innovate our processes. And after 1 year in the space, we've reached a level of comfort where now it's time to play and get fancy. And we've been experimenting with other functions in ClickUp to see what may improve our workflows even more. Things like relationships, more automations, dependencies, and so on. In addition to all of that, we now have reporting like we have never had before. And it's available at our fingertips in real time. Not only can we view who is assigned to what and their overall workload, but we can easily pull information on things such as project status, types of work completed for the department as a whole, what sites are requesting content, if a project needs further attention or assistance from our leadership team. We no longer need to slog through the list of projects and tasks each week. We can simply pull up a dashboard.
So, in summary, what are our results? The fastest adoption of any tool the three of us have launched throughout our careers. Happier staff, better collaboration and transparency across the team. Fewer emails are being sent back and forth for communication on projects. Instructional designers can ask leadership for help from ClickUp by using tags or sending an communication. We can track work for quarterly upgrades that impact multiple instructional designers at once. We can even use a system for our QA process. Our customers around Mayo noticed that our processes became more efficient and wanted to know more. Dashboards let us know who is drowning and who has the bandwidth to help their colleagues. They also can quickly answer executive level questions about how we function. And staff can be out of the office with confidence because their notes are available to their colleagues who can cover their work. And definitely one of my favorite things is that my one-on-ones with my staff are more meaningful. I'm not hunting and pecking in multiple places for information, and they don't have to read me a laundry list of what's cooking week to week. I already know. We can have more meaningful conversations about the ongoing work because I already have a clear understanding by looking in ClickUp. And sometimes we even have the time to talk about things that have nothing to do with work. So thank you for watching and good luck to you on your ClickUp endeavors.